Keanu Charles Reeves, born September 2, 1964, is a Canadian actor and musician. Personal life. Alexandra Grant in May 2014. In 1998, Reeves met director David Lynch's assistant Jennifer Syme at a party thrown for his band Dogstar, and they started dating. On December 24, 1999, Syme gave birth 8 months into her pregnancy to the couple's child, who was stillborn. The couple broke up several weeks afterward, but later reconciled. On April 2, 2001, Syme was killed when her vehicle collided with 3 parked cars on Cahuenga Boulevard in Los Angeles. Syme was impaired, and also not belted, and Reeves told investigators that they were back together and had brunch together in San Francisco the day before the accident. Reeves acted as a pallbearer for Syme, who was buried next to their daughter. He was scheduled to film the sequels to The Matrix the following spring, but saw peace and time, according to friend Brett Domrose of Dogstar. Reeves has also been romantically linked to longtime friend and filmmaker Brenda Davis, to whose child he is godfather, and model actress China Chow. In 2009, Reeves met Alexandra Grant at a dinner party. They went on to collaborate on 2 books together. They went public with their relationship in November 2019. Reeves is discreet about his spiritual beliefs, saying that it is something personal and private. When asked if he was a spiritual person, he said that he believes in God, faith, inner faith, the self, passion, and things, and that he is very spiritual. Although he does not formally practice Buddhism, the religion has left a strong impression on him, especially after filming Little Buddha. He said, "Most of the things I've come away with from Buddhism have been human understanding feelings, impermanence, and trying to understand other people and where they're coming from." When asked on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert in 2019 about his views on what happens after death, Reeves replied, "I know that the ones who love us will miss us." In 2023, the lipopeptide keanumycin, a substance deadly to fungi, was named in honor of Reeves. Early life. Reeves was born in Beirut, Lebanon, on September 2, 1964, the son of Patricia, née Taylor, a costume designer and performer, and Samuel Nowlin Reeves Jr. His mother is English, originating from Essex. His American father is from Hawaii, and is of native Hawaiian, Chinese, English, Irish, and Portuguese descent. Reeves's paternal grandmother is of Chinese and Hawaiian descent. His mother was working in Beirut when she met his father, who abandoned his wife and family when Reeves was 3 years old. Reeves last met his father on the Hawaiian island of Kauai when he was 13. After his parents divorced in 1966, his mother moved the family to Sydney, and then to New York City, where she married Paul Aaron, a Broadway and Hollywood director. In 1970, the couple moved to Toronto and divorced in 1971. When Reeves was 9, he took part in a theater production of Damn Yankees. Aaron remained close to Reeves, offering him advice and recommending him a job at the Hetero Theater in Pennsylvania. Reeves's mother married Robert Miller, a rock music promoter, in 1976. The couple divorced in 1980. Reeves and his sisters grew up primarily in the Yorkville neighborhood of Toronto, with a nanny caring for them frequently. Because of his grandmother's Chinese ethnicity, Reeves grew up with Chinese art, furniture, and cuisine. Reeves watched British comedy shows such as The Two Ronnies, and his mother imparted English manners that he has maintained into adulthood. Describing himself as a private kid, Reeves attended 4 different high schools, including the Etobicoke School of the Arts, from which he was expelled. Reeves said he was expelled because he was just a little too rambunctious and shot my mouth off once too often. I was not generally the most well-oiled machine in the school. Reeves has dyslexia and has said, "Because I had trouble reading, I wasn't a good student." At De La Salle College, he was a successful ice hockey goalkeeper. Reeves had aspirations to play for the Canadian Olympic team but decided to become an actor when he was 15. After leaving De La Salle College, he attended Avondale Secondary Alternative School, which allowed him to get an education while working as an actor. Reeves dropped out of high school when he was 17. He obtained a green card through his American stepfather and moved to Los Angeles 3 years later. Reeves holds only Canadian citizenship. Career. Main article, Keanu Reeves filmography. 1984 to 1990, early work. Reeves in 1986. In 1984, Reeves was a correspondent for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, youth television program Going Great. That same year, he made his acting debut in an episode of the television series, called Hanjanai, and in 1985, he played Mercutio in a stage production of Romeo and Juliet at the Leah Poslan's Theatre in North York. Ontario. He made further appearances on stage, including Brad Fraser's cult hit Wolfboy in Toronto. He also appeared in a Coca-Cola commercial in 1983 and in the National Film Board of Canada, NFB, coming-of-age short film One Step Away. Reeves later said that, when he was looking for work in the mid-1980s, his agents advised him to go by a different name because his first name was too ethnic. He briefly initialized his first and middle name and attended auditions as K.C. or Casey Reeves before reverting to Keanu. Reeves made a foray into television films in 1986, including NBC's Babes in Toyland, Act of Vengeance and Brotherhood of Justice. He made his first motion picture appearances in Peter Markle's Youngblood, 1986, in which he played a goalkeeper, and in the low-budget romantic drama, Flying. He was cast as Matt in River's Edge, a crime drama about a group of high school friends dealing with a murder case, loosely based on the 1981 murder of Marcy Renee Conrad. The film premiered in 1986 at the Toronto International Film Festival to a largely positive response. Janet Maslin of The New York Times describes the performances of the young cast as natural and credible, with Reeves being described as affecting and sympathetic. Towards the end of the 1980s, Reeves starred in several dramas aimed at teen audiences, including as the lead in The Night Before, 1988, a comedy starring opposite Lori Loughlin, The Prince of Pennsylvania, 1988, and Permanent Record, 1988. Although the latter received mixed reviews, Variety magazine praised Reeves's performance, which opens up nicely as the drama progresses. His other acting efforts included a supporting role in Dangerous Liaisons, 1988, which earned 7 nominations at the 61st Academy Awards, winning 3, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Costume Design, and Best Production Design. This was followed by Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, 1989, in which he portrays a slacker who travels through time with a friend. Portrayed by Alex Winter, to assemble historical figures for a school presentation. The film was generally well received by critics and grossed $40.5 million at the worldwide box office. Film review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes gave the film a 79% approval rating with the critical consensus. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter are just charming, goofy, and silly enough to make this fluffy time travel adventure work. In 1989, Reeves starred in the comedy drama Parenthood, directed by Ron Howard. Nick Hilditch of the BBC gave the film 3 out of 5 stars, calling it a feel-good movie with an extensive and entertaining ensemble cast. In 1990, Reeves gave 2 acting performances. He portrayed an incompetent hitman in the black comedy I Love You to Death, and played Martin, a radio station employee in the comedy Tune in Tomorrow. He also appeared in Paula Abdul's music video for Rush Rush, which featured a rebel without a cause motif, with him in the James Dean role. 1991 to 1994, breakthrough with adult roles. In 1991, Reeves starred in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, a sequel to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, with his co-star Alex Winter. Michael Wilmington of the Los Angeles Times wrote that the sequel was more imaginative, more opulent, wilder and freer, more excitingly visualized, praising the actors for their fuller performances. Film critic Roger Ebert thought it was a riot of visual invention and weird humor that works on its chosen submoronic level. It's the kind of movie where you start out snickering in spite of yourself, and end up actually admiring the originality that went into creating this hallucinatory slapstick. The rest of 1991 marked a significant transition for Reeves's career as he undertook adult roles. Co-starring with River Phoenix as a street hustler in the adventure My Own Private Idaho, the characters embark on a journey of personal discovery. The story was written by Gus Van Sant and is loosely based on Shakespeare's Henry IV, Part 1, Henry IV, Part 2, and Henry V. The film premiered at the 48th Venice International Film Festival, followed by a theatrical release in the United States on September 29, 1991. The film earned $6.4 million at the box office. My Own Private Idaho was positively received, with Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly describing the film as a postmodern road movie with a mood of free-floating, trance-like despair, a rich, audacious experience. The New York Times complimented Reeves and Phoenix for their insightful performances. Reeves starred alongside Patrick Swayze, Lori Petty and Gary Busey in the action thriller Point Break, 1991, directed by Catherine Bigelow. He plays an undercover FBI agent tasked with investigating the identities of a group of bank robbers. To prepare for the film, Reeves and his co-stars took surfing lessons with professional surfer Dennis Jarvis in Hawaii. Reeves had never surfed before. Upon its release, Point Break was generally well received and a commercial success, earning $83.5 million at the box office. Reeves's performance was praised by the New York Times for considerable discipline and range, adding, "He moves easily between the buttoned-down demeanor that suits a police procedural story and the loose-jointed manner of his comic roles." Writing for the Washington Post, Hal Hinson called Reeves the perfect choice and praised the surfing scenes, but opined that the filmmakers have their characters make the most ludicrously illogical choices imaginable. At the 1992 MTV Movie Awards, Reeves won the Most Desirable Male award. In 1991, Reeves developed an interest in a music career. He formed an alternative rock band called Dog Star, consisting of members Robert Mailhouse, Greg Miller, and Brett Domrose. Reeves played the bass guitar. A year later, he played Jonathan Harker in Francis Ford Coppola's gothic horror Bram Stoker's Dracula, based on Stoker's 1897 novel Dracula. Starring alongside Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, and Anthony Hopkins, the film was critically and commercially successful. It grossed $215.8 million worldwide. For his role, Reeves was required to speak with an English accent, which drew some ridicule. Overly posh and entirely ridiculous, Reeves's performance is as painful as it is hilarious, wrote Le Maréchal of Virgin Media. In a retrospective interview in 2015, director Coppola said, "Reeves tried so hard. He wanted to do it perfectly, and in trying to do it perfectly, it came off as stilted." Bram Stoker's Dracula was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, winning 3 in Best Costume Design, Best Sound Editing, and Best Makeup. The film also received 4 nominations at the British Academy Film Awards. In 1993, he had a role in Much Ado About Nothing, based on Shakespeare's play of the same name. The film received positive reviews, although Reeves was nominated for a Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Supporting Actor. The New Republic magazine thought his casting was unfortunate because of his amateur performance. In that same year, he starred in 2 more drama films, Even Cowgirls Get the Blues and Little Buddha, both of which garnered a mixed to negative reception. The Independent critic gave Little Buddha a mixed review but opined that Reeves's part as a prince was credible. The film also left an impression on Reeves. He later said, "When I played this innocent prince who starts to suspect something when he has the first revelations about old age, sickness, and death, it hit me. That lesson has never left me." He starred in the action thriller Speed, 1994, alongside Sandra Bullock and Dennis Hopper. He plays police officer Jack Traven, who must prevent a bus from exploding by keeping its speed above 50 miles per hour. Speed was the directorial debut of Dutch director Jan de Bont. Several actors were considered for the lead role, but Reeves was chosen because Bont was impressed with his Point Break performance. To look the part, Reeves shaved all his hair off and spent 2 months in the gym to gain muscle mass. During production, Reeves's friend River Phoenix, and co-star in My Own Private Idaho, died, resulting in adjustments to the filming schedule to allow him to mourn. Speed was released on June 10 to a critically acclaimed response. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune lauded Reeves, calling him absolutely charismatic, giving a performance juiced with joy as he jumps through elevator shafts and atop a subway train. David Anson, writing for Newsweek, summarized Speed as relentless without being overbearing. "This is one likely blockbuster that doesn't feel too big for its britches. It's a friendly juggernaut." The film grossed $350 million from a $30 million budget and won 2 Academy Awards in 1995, Best Sound Editing and Best Sound. 1995 to 1998, continued acting efforts. "I do love it, Shakespeare. It's like this kind of code that once you start to inhabit it with breath and sound and feeling and thought, it is the most powerful and consuming and freeing at the same time. Just, literally, elemental in sound, consonants and vowels. What I found out in doing it, Hamlet, was that it brought up for me all the anger that was inside me for my mother. I mean, it surprised me, just what was there, and I hadn't seen that before." Reeves on his Hamlet performance. Reeves's next leading role came in the 1995 cyberpunk action thriller Johnny Mnemonic, directed by artist Robert Longo and based on the 1981 story of the same name by William Gibson. Set in 2021, it is about a man who has a cybernetic brain implant and must deliver a data package before he dies or is killed by the Yakuza. The film received mainly negative reviews and critics felt Reeves was woefully miscast. Roger Ebert opined that the film is one of the great goofy gestures of recent cinema, a movie that doesn't deserve 1 nanosecond of serious analysis, but has a kind of idiotic grandeur that makes you almost forgive it. As part of the film studio's marketing efforts, a CD-ROM video game was also released. He next appeared in the romantic drama A Walk in the Clouds, 1995, which also garnered mixed to negative reviews. Reeves plays a young soldier returning home from World War II, trying to settle down with a woman he married impulsively just before he enlisted. Film critic Mick LaSalle opined that A Walk in the Clouds is for the most part a beautiful, well-acted and emotionally rich picture, whereas Hal Hinson from the Washington Post said, the film has the syrupy, Kodak magic moment look of a Bo Derek movie, and pretty much the same level of substance. Besides film work, Reeves retreated briefly to the theater playing Prince Hamlet in a 1995 Manitoba Theatre Centre production of Hamlet in Winnipeg, Manitoba. The Sunday Times critic Roger Lewis believed his performance, writing he quite embodied the innocence, the splendid fury, the animal grace of the leaps and bounds, the emotional violence, that form the Prince of Denmark. He is one of the top 3 Hamlets I have seen, for a simple reason, he is Hamlet. Reeves was soon drawn to science fiction roles, appearing in Chain Reaction, 1996, with co-stars Morgan Freeman, Rachel Weisz, Fred Ward, Kevin Dunn and Brian Cox. He plays a researcher of a green energy project who has to go on the run when he is framed for murder. Chain Reaction was not a critical success and gained mostly a negative reaction. Review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes gave it a rating of 16% and described it as a man-on-the-run thriller that mostly sticks to generic formula. Reeves's film choices after Chain Reaction were also critical disappointments. He starred in the independent crime comedy Feeling Minnesota, 1996, with Vincent D'Onofrio and Cameron Diaz, which was described as shoddily assembled and fundamentally miscast by Rotten Tomatoes. That year, he turned down an offer to star in Speed 2, Cruise Control, despite being offered a salary of $12 million according to Reeves. This decision caused 20th Century Fox to sever ties with him for a decade. Instead, Reeves toured with his band Dogstar and appeared in the drama The Last Time I Committed Suicide, 1997, based on a 1950 letter written by Neil Cassidy to Jack Kerouac. Reeves's performance gained mixed reviews. Paul Tatara of CNN called him void of talent. Here he is again, reciting his lines as if they're non-related words strung together as a memory exercise, whereas Empire magazine thought Reeves gives the nearest thing to a performance in his career as the enthusiastic feckless drunk that he starred in the 1997 supernatural horror The Devil's Advocate alongside Al Pacino and Charlize Theron. Reeves agreed to a pay cut of several $1 million so that the film studio could afford to hire Pacino. Based on Andrew Niederman's novel of the same name, the feature is about a successful young lawyer invited to New York City to work for a major firm, who discovers the owner of the firm is a devil. The Devil's Advocate attracted positive reviews from critics. Film critic James Berardinelli called the film highly enjoyable and wrote, "There are times when Reeves lacks the subtlety that would have made this a more multi-layered portrayal, but it's nevertheless a solid job." 1999 to 2004, stardom with the Matrix franchise and comedies. Reeves promoting The Day the Earth Stood Still in Mexico, 2008. Reeves promoting The Day the Earth Stood Still in Mexico, 2008. In 1999, Reeves starred in the critically acclaimed science fiction film The Matrix, the first installment in what would become the Matrix franchise. Reeves portrays computer programmer Thomas Anderson, a hacker using the alias Neo, who discovers humanity is trapped inside a simulated reality created by intelligent machines. To prepare for the film, which was written and directed by the Wachowskis, Reeves had read Kevin Kelly's Out of Control, The New Biology of Machines, Social Systems, and the Economic World, and Dylan Evans's ideas on evolutionary psychology. The principal cast underwent months of intense training with martial arts choreographer Yuen Whooping to prepare for the fight scenes. The Matrix proved to be a box office success. Several critics considered it to be one of the best science fiction films of all time. Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times felt it was a wildly cinematic futuristic thriller that is determined to overpower the imagination. Despite perceiving weaknesses in the film's dialogue, Janet Maslin of the New York Times credited Reeves for being a strikingly chic Prada model of an action hero, and thought the martial arts stunts were the film's strongest feature. The Matrix received Academy Awards for Best Film Editing, Best Sound Editing, Best Visual Effects, and Best Sound. After the success of The Matrix, Reeves avoided another blockbuster in favor of a light-hearted sports comedy, The Replacements, 2000. He agreed to a pay cut to enable Gene Hackman to co-star in the film. Against his wishes, Reeves starred in the thriller The Watcher, 2000, playing a serial killer who stalks a retired FBI agent. He said that a friend forged his signature on a contract, which he could not prove. He appeared in the film to avoid legal action. Upon its release, the film was critically panned. That year, he had a supporting role in another thriller, Sam Raimi's The Gift, a story about a woman, played by Cate Blanchett, with extrasensory perception asked to help find a young woman who disappeared. The film grossed $44 million worldwide. Film critic Paul Clinton of CNN thought the film was fairly compelling, saying of Reeves's acting, Raimi managed to get a performance out of Reeves that only occasionally sounds like he's reading his lines from the back of a cereal box. In 2001, Reeves continued to explore and accept roles in a diverse range of genres. The first was a romantic drama, Sweet November, a remake of the 1968 film of the same name. This was his second collaboration with Charlize Theron. The film was met with a generally negative reception. Desson Thompson of The Washington Post criticized it for its syrupy cliches, greeting card wisdom, and over-the-top tragicomedy, but commended Reeves for his likability factor in every performance he gives. Hardball, 2001, marked Reeves's attempt in another sports comedy. Directed by Brian Robbins, it is based on the book Hardball, A Season in the Projects by Daniel Coyle. Reeves plays Connor O'Neill, a troubled young man who agrees to coach a Little League team from the Cabrini Green housing project in Chicago as a condition of obtaining a loan. Film critic Roger Ebert noted the film's desire to tackle difficult subjects and baseball coaching, but felt it lacked depth, and Reeves's performance was glum and distant. By 2002, his professional music career had come to an end when Dogstar disbanded. The band had released 2 albums during their decade together, Our Little Visionary in 1996 and Happy Ending in 2000. Sometime afterwards, Reeves performed in the band Becky for a year, founded by Dogstar bandmate Rob Mailhouse, but quit in 2005, citing a lack of interest in a serious music career. After being absent from the screen in 2002, Reeves returned to the Matrix sequels in 2003 with The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions, released in May and November, respectively. Principal photography for both films was completed back-to-back, primarily at Fox Studios in Australia. The Matrix Reloaded garnered mostly favorable reviews. John Powers of LA Weekly praised the dazzling pyrotechnics but was critical of certain machine-like action scenes. Of Reeves's acting, Powers thought it was somewhat wooden but felt he has the ability to exude a charmed aura. Andrew Walker, writing for the Evening Standard, praised the cinematography. Visually it gives full value as a virtuoso workout for your senses, but he was less taken by the film's dime store philosophy. The film grossed $739 million worldwide. The Matrix Revolutions, the third installment, was met with mixed reception. According to review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the consensus was that characters and ideas take a backseat to the special effects. Paul Clinton, writing for CNN, praised the special effects but felt Reeves's character was unfocused. In contrast, the San Francisco Chronicle's Carla Meyer was highly critical of the special effects, writing, "The Wachowskis. Computer-generated imagery goes from dazzling to deadening in action scenes that favor heavy, clanking weaponry over the martial arts. Moves that thrilled viewers of The Matrix and The Matrix Reloaded." Nevertheless, the film grossed a healthy $427 million worldwide, although less than the 2 previous films. Something's Gotta Give, a romantic comedy, was Reeves's last release of 2003. He co-starred with Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton, and played Dr. Julian Mercer in the film. Something's Gotta Give received generally favorable reviews. 2005 to 2013, thrillers, documentaries, and directorial debut. Reeves, dressed in a gray suit, waving to the crowd at the Berlin Film Festival, February 2009. Reeves at the Berlin International Film Festival in 2009. In 2005, Reeves played the title role in Constantine, an occult detective film about a man who has the ability to perceive and communicate with half-angels and half-demons. The film was a respectable box office hit, grossing $230 million worldwide from a $100 million budget, but attracted mixed to positive reviews. The Sydney Morning Herald's critic wrote that Constantine isn't bad, but it doesn't deserve any imposing adjectives. It's occasionally cheesy, sometimes enjoyable, intermittently scary, and constantly spiked with celestial blatherskite. He next appeared in Thumbsucker, which premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in 2005. A comedy adapted from the 1999 Walter Kern novel of the same name. The story follows a boy with a thumb-sucking problem. Reeves and the cast garnered positive critical reviews, with the Washington Post describing it as a gently stirring symphony about emotional transition filled with lovely musical passages and softly nuanced performances. Reeves appeared in the Richard Linklater-directed animated science fiction thriller A Scanner Darkly, which premiered at the 2006 Cannes Film Festival. Reeves played Bob Arctur/Fred, an undercover agent in a futuristic dystopia under high-tech police surveillance. Based on the novel of the same name by Philip K. Dick, the film was a box office failure. However, the film attracted generally favorable reviews. Paul Arendt of the BBC thought the film was beautiful to watch, but Reeves was outshone by his co-star Robert Downey Jr. His next role was Alex Weiler in The Lake House, 2006, a romantic drama adaptation of the South Korean film Mare, 2000, which reunited him with Sandra Bullock. Despite its box office success, Mark Kermode of The Guardian was highly critical, writing, "The syrup-drenched supernatural whimsy achieved stupidity at a genuinely international level. The last time Bullock and Reeves were together on screen, the result was speed." This should have been entitled Stop. Towards the end of 2006, he co-narrated The Great Warming with Alanis Morissette, a documentary about climate change mitigation. Next, in 2008, Reeves collaborated with director David Ayer on the crime thriller Street Kings. He played an undercover policeman who must clear his name after the death of another officer. Released on April 11, the film grossed a moderate $66 million worldwide. The film's plot and Reeves' performance, however, were met with mostly unenthusiastic reviews. Paul Burns of the Sydney Morning Herald stated, "It's full of twists and turns, a dead body in every reel, but it's not difficult to work out who's betraying whom, and that's just not good enough." The Guardian opined that Reeves is fundamentally blank and uninteresting. Reeves starred in another science fiction film, The Day the Earth Stood Still, a loose adaptation of the 1951 film of the same name. He portrayed Klaatu, an alien sent from outer space to try to change human behavior or eradicate humans because of their environmental impact. At the 2009 Razzie Awards, the film was nominated for Worst Prequel, Remake, Ripoff, or Sequel. Many critics were unimpressed with the heavy use of special effects. The Telegraph credited Reeves' ability to engage the audience, but thought the cinematography was abysmal and the sub-Al Gore environment lecture leaves you lightheaded with tedium. Reeves and Tiger Chin, 2013. Tiger Chin and Reeves at the Fantastic Fest Film Festival, 2013. Rebecca Miller's The Private Lives of Pippa Lee was Reeves' sole release of 2009, which premiered at the 59th Berlin International Film Festival. The romantic comedy and its ensemble received an amicable review from The Telegraph's David Gritton. Miller's film is a triumph. Uniformly well acted, it boasts a psychologically knowing script, clearly written by a smart, assertive human. In 2010, he starred in another romantic comedy, Henry's Crime, about a man who is released from prison for a crime he did not commit, but then targets the same bank with his former cellmate. The film was not a box office hit. Reeves' only work in 2011 was an adult picture book titled Ode to Happiness, which he wrote, complemented by Alexandra Grant's illustrations. Reeves co-produced and appeared in a 2012 documentary, Side by Side. He interviewed filmmakers including James Cameron, Martin Scorsese, and Christopher Nolan. The feature investigated digital and photochemical film creation. Next, Reeves starred in Generation 2012, an independent drama which was critically panned. In 2013, Reeves starred in his own directorial debut, the martial arts film Men of Tai Chi. The film has multilingual dialogue and follows a young man drawn to an underground fight club, partially inspired by the life of Reeves' friend Tiger Chin. Principal photography took place in China and in Hong Kong. Reeves was also assisted by Yuan Wuping, the fight choreographer of the Matrix films. Men of Tai Chi premiered at the Beijing Film Festival and the Cannes Film Festival, and received praise from director John Woo. A wider, warm response followed suit. Bill Jebri of Vulture thought the fight sequences were beautifully assembled, and Reeves showed restraint with the film editing to present the fighters' motion sequences. The Los Angeles Times wrote, "The brutally efficient shooting style Reeves employs to film master choreographer Ewan Wooping's breathtaking fights, is refreshingly grounded and old-school kinetic, while Dave McGinn of the Globe and Mail called the film ambitious but generic. At the box office, Men of Tai Chi was a commercial disappointment, grossing only $5.5 million worldwide from a budget of $25 million. Also in 2013, Reeves played Kai in the 3D fantasy 47 Ronin, a Japanese fable about a group of rogue samurai. The film premiered in Japan but failed to gain traction with audiences. Reviews were not positive, causing Universal Pictures to reduce advertising for the film elsewhere. 47 Ronin was a box office flop and was mostly poorly received. 2014 to 2022, resurgence with John Wick. Reeves in 2015. After this series of commercial failures, Reeves' career rebounded in 2014. He played the title role in the action thriller John Wick, directed by Chad Stahelski. In the first installment of the John Wick franchise, Reeves plays a retired hitman seeking vengeance. He worked closely with the screenwriter to develop the story. We all agreed on the potential of the project. I love the role, but you want the whole story, the whole ensemble to come to life, Reeves said. Filmed on location in the New York City area, the film was eventually released on October 24 in the United States. The Hollywood Reporter was impressed by the director's confident, muscular action debut and Reeves' effortless performance, which marked his return to the action genre. Jeanette Katsoulis of the New York Times praised Reeves' fight scenes and wrote he is always more comfortable in roles that demand cool over hot, attitude over emotion. John Wick proved to be a box office success, grossing $86 million worldwide. Next, Reeves starred in a smaller-scale horror feature, Knock Knock, 2015, a remake of the 1977 film Death Game. Described as over-the-top destruction by the Toronto Star, Reeves plays a father, home alone, when two young women show up and start a game of cat and mouse. His other releases in 2015 were the documentaries Deep Web, about crime on the dark web, and Mifune, The Last Samurai, about the life of a Japanese actor, Toshiro Mifune, famous for playing samurai characters. He narrated both films. Reeves appeared in 5 film releases in 2016. The first was Exposed, a crime thriller about a detective who investigates his partner's death and discovers police corruption along the way. The film received negative reviews for its confused plot, and Reeves was criticized for displaying limited facial expressions. His next release, the comedy Keanu, was better received and he voiced the eponymous kitten. Reeves then had a minor role in The Neon Demon, a psychological horror directed by Nicholas Winding Refn. He played Hank, a lustful motel owner who appears in Jesse's, played by Elle Fanning, Nightmare. In his 4th release, he played a charismatic leader of a settlement in The Bad Batch. His final release of the year was The Whole Truth, featuring Gabriel Basso, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Renee Zellweger, and Jim Belushi. He played Richard, a defense attorney. Noel Murray of the AV Club described it as moderately clever, reasonably entertaining courtroom drama, with a skilled cast, but overall a mundane film. Reeves also appeared in Swedish Dicks, a 2-season web television series. In 2017, Reeves agreed to reprise his role for a sequel in the John Wick franchise, John Wick, Chapter 2. The story carries on from the first film and follows John Wick as he goes on the run when a bounty is placed on him. The film was a critical and commercial success, grossing $171.5 million worldwide, more than its predecessor. Chris Hewitt of Empire magazine praised Reeves' performance, which complemented his previous action roles, Point Break and Speed. However, Justin Chang of the Los Angeles Times described the picture as a down-and-dirty B-picture with a lustrous A-picture soul. Besides to this large-scale feature, Reeves starred in a drama, To the Bone, in which he plays a doctor helping a young woman with anorexia. It premiered at the 2017 Sundance Film Festival, followed by distribution on Netflix in July. Early reviews were positive, with praise for its non-glamorized portrayal of anorexia, although the New Statesman magazine thought it was irresponsible. That year, Reeves also made cameo appearances in the films A Happening of Monumental Proportions and SPF 18. Reeves reunited with Winona Ryder in the 2018 comedy Destination Wedding, about wedding guests who develop a mutual affection for each other. They had worked together previously in Bram Stoker's Dracula, A Scanner Darkly, and The Private Lives of Pippa Lee. Reeves also co-produced and starred in 2 thrillers. Siberia, in which he plays a diamond trader who travels to Siberia to search for his Russian partner, and Replicas, which tells the story of a neuroscientist who violates laws and bioethics to bring his family back to life after they die in a car crash. Siberia was critically panned. Reviewers thought the plot was nonsensical and Reeves had little chemistry with co-star Anna Alaru. Replicas did not fare well with critics either. The AV Club praised Reeves' performance, but gave the film a grade D-, adding it as garbage. It was also a box office failure, earning $9.3 million from a budget of $30 million. Returning to the John Wick franchise, Reeves starred in John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum, 2019, the third feature in the series directed by Stahelski. The film takes place immediately after the events of John Wick, Chapter 2, and features new cast members, including Halle Berry. The film was another box office hit, grossing $171 million in the United States and more than $155 million internationally. The Globe and Mail's reviewer gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, praising the fight scenes, but felt there was aesthetic overindulgence with the cinematography. The Guardian's Kath Clark questioned Reeves' acting. She wrote that he keeps his face statue still. 3 movies in, franchise bloat is beginning to set in. Reeves was nominated for Favorite Male Movie Star of 2019 in the People's Choice Awards, and the film itself was nominated for Best Contemporary Film in the Art Directors Guild Awards. Reeves then voiced Stu Kaboom in 2019's Toy Story 4, the fourth installment of Pixar's Toy Story franchise. That same year, on April 27th and 28th, a film festival was held in his honor, called KeanuCon, hosted in Glasgow, Scotland. Over 2 days, 9 of his films were screened for guests. Also in 2019, Reeves played a supporting role as himself in the Ali Wong-led romantic comedy Always Be My Maybe. In 2019, Reeves traveled to Sao Paulo to produce a Netflix series. Conquest footage shot for the project would remain in development hell for years due to creator Carl Rinch's erratic behavior and mental health state, which caused him to miss several deadlines and enter litigation with Netflix over the rights to the series. As early as 2008, Reeves and Alex Winter had shown enthusiasm for a third Bill and Ted film, but the project went into development limbo. Finally, in 2020, Bill and Ted Face the Music, the third film in the franchise, was released. The critic from Salon magazine was disappointed in Reeves' performance, but praised the film for its message that music has the power to unite the world. Leah Greenblatt of Entertainment Weekly gave the film a grade B, and complimented the on-screen chemistry between Reeves and Winter. He also appeared in the SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run, as a tumbleweed named Sage. Reeves appears as Johnny Silverhand in the video game Cyberpunk 2077. In December 2021, Reeves returned to the screen for the fourth film in the Matrix franchise, The Matrix Resurrections. Carrie-Anne Moss also reprised her role as Trinity. The Matrix Resurrections was a box office disappointment. One critic praised Reeves and Moss' performances, but thought the film was no game-changer. 2023, present, post-John Wick. Lionsgate's John Wick, Chapter 4 premiered on March 24, 2023. Reeves reprised his role as the title character. He also reprised his role as Johnny Silverhand in the Cyberpunk 2077 expansion, Phantom Liberty. A comic book series, BRZRKR, co-written by Reeves, was published in 3 volumes starting in March 2021 and concluding in October 2023. Issue number 1 sold over 615,000 copies, making it the top-selling single issue since Star Wars number 1 in 2015. Reeves performing with Dogstar in 2024. After occasionally meeting up for jam sessions in the years following their dissolution, Dogstar began recording new material during the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, which turned into a finished album, Somewhere Between the Power Lines and Palm Trees, 2023, following their first performance in 20 years at Bottle Rock Napa Valley Music Festival. Reeves and the band embarked on a 25-date tour in North America and Japan in support of the album, beginning August 10 in Hermosa Beach, California. In July, Boom Studios published the first issue of BRZRKR, Bloodlines, titled Poetry of Madness. Reeves appeared as the featured guest for the Season 6 premiere episode of Ride with Norman Reedus, 2023, titled The Utah Desert with Keanu Reeves. In November of that year, he appeared as the host for and executive-produced the 4-part documentary series Brawn, the Impossible Formula One story for Hulu and Disney+. At the end of that month, Boom Studios published the second comic in the BRZRKR, Bloodline series, entitled Fallen Empire. By the end of May 2024, Netflix won litigation over the rights to the Reeves-produced Conquest series, with the footage reverting to their ownership alongside being reimbursed for $8. $78 worth of creator Carl Eric Rinch's misused production money. That June, Reeves and Dogstar announced their summer vacation tour, with shows scheduled from August to September in the US and Canada. Upcoming projects. Announced in January 2024, Reeves has been co-authoring the first book in the BRZRKR franchise, with speculative fiction writer China Miéville, titled The Book of Elsewhere, set for release in July 2024. The second volume of the Bloodline series, titled A Face Full of Bullets, was revealed, with Jason Aaron writing and art by Francesco Manna. It will be a standalone Western story for the series and is set for release in June 2024. Reeves will next star alongside Seth Rogen and Aziz Ansari in the latter's directorial debut, Good Fortune. He will then star in Jonah Hill's upcoming black comedy film Outcome. Apple TV+. Reeves had also been cast as the voice of Shadow in the third installment of the Sonic the Hedgehog film series, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. In the 2025 series spin-off film John Wick Presents Ballerina, Reeves is set to reprise his role as the franchise's titular character. Reeves is set to star in Ruben Ostlund's satire film The Entertainment System Is Down. Reeves will co-produce a documentary film about the life of Benny Urquidez, set for release in 2025. A film adaptation of BRZRKR written by Mattson Tomlin and produced by and starring Reeves is being developed for Netflix, with Reeves open to the possibility of directing after the release of the film. A 2-season anime series produced by Production I.G is planned to follow. A fifth sequel to John Wick was planned by distributor Lionsgate, but franchise director Chad Stahelski said he would like to give the franchise a rest for the time being.